Okay, that tells me that we are ready to go. Good evening. If you are in the Eastern Caribbean, it's just 1 minute past 6 o'clock. If you are in Jamaica, that makes it 1 minute past 5. And if you're in Belize, it's 1 minute past 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Welcome. My name is Cleveland Sam, and I will be your host. Welcome to this, the first in the series of open house sessions on the UWI Open Campus programs for the academic year 2022-2023. This session will deal specifically with some of our education programs, and we are excited to have you. A special welcome to you who are online on our Facebook, our YouTube site, our Instagram or Twitter. And of course, we do have an in-studio audience as well, and we look forward to hearing from them later this evening. At this time, I want to welcome all of our presenters. As I said, this session is going to deal specifically with some of our educational programs, and we have some of our colleagues from our academic programming delivery department who are with us this evening, who are going to be sharing some information with you. So I'm going to introduce them, and they're going to be able to say hello, and you would see who they are. So we have Miss Wendy Grandison, and she's a program manager on the online programs delivery department. Wendy, good evening.
Hi, good afternoon, Dr. Sam. Good afternoon, everyone.
All right, we also have Ms. Cheryl Williams Davis, and she is also a program manager with the online program delivery department. Good evening, Cheryl.
Sorry, good evening, Dr. Sam, and good evening, everyone.
All right, and from the Office of Finance, very important when you're talking about studying at university, we have Mr. Dave Scarlett. Dave?
Good evening, Dr. Sam. Good evening, everyone. Thank you.
All right, and we also have from admissions, because that's where everything starts, Miss Medica David Allen, and she will be here. She will not be presenting, but she will be here to respond to any questions or queries that you may have with respect to the admissions process. So we want to say good evening to Miss Medica David Allen.
Good evening, everyone.
All right, so for our attendees on Zoom, we would ask you to post your question in the chat. And for the viewers on Facebook and social media, we'll ask you to post your questions in the comment section on Facebook as well as YouTube. And we have our colleagues who are there to answer those questions. Some of those questions they will also send to me so that we can get them answered live on the program. Okay, so that's it in terms of our introduction. And right now I'm going to introduce our first presenter, Miss Wendy Grandison. As I said, she is from the Academic Online Programs Delivery Department, and she's going to give you an overview of the APA department and the B.Ed Education Leadership and Management Program. All right, over to you, Wendy.
Good evening again, everyone. So I'm here today to just give a brief overview of the Bachelor of Education program, which is Educational Leadership and Management. Allow me to share my screen. Okay, you all seeing everything? Okay, great.
Yes, Wendy, we are seeing your screen.
All right, great, thank you. So welcome colleagues to the virtual open house for the B.Ed Educational Leadership and Management Program. I am the program manager, Mrs. Wendy Grandison, and I'm here to just tell you a bit about what this program has to offer to you. The Educational Leadership and Management Program offers both a major and a special, which we will delve into a bit later. We'll look today at the target audience of the program structure, the student experience, the registration period, and the cost of the program. Just give me a minute. Good. So the B.Ed Educational Leadership and Management Program. It offers educational leaders and managers at different levels of the education system the opportunity to focus on courses which would enhance leadership and management skills, as well as the knowledge and competencies which would be necessary with the new educational reforms which have taken place in the Caribbean. Now, although it says it's primarily geared towards the educational leaders and managers, in no way is this meant to deter those who may be in lower level positions from applying for this program. There are those who may aspire to such leadership roles, so this would be a good avenue for them to position themselves when the opportunity may become available, okay? So we'll just have a quick look at the entry requirements. So candidates must have a minimum of 1 year of working experience in an educational institution, and they must be employed in said institution for the duration of the program in one of the Caribbean countries serviced by the UE in order to ground their courses in practice and to conduct their field experience and practicum. Now, these education institutions can be either the early childhood, primary, secondary, or tertiary level institutions. And of course, proof of employment would be required. We also have the general matriculation requirements, which would be 5 CSEC or GC O-level passes or its equivalent. So for those candidates who do not have a pass in math, they must successfully complete the remedial mathematics course, which we refer to as the Improving Your Math Skills. And those who may not have the pass in English would be required to pursue the English language proficiency test, which is basically used to prepare them for a certain level of proficiency required for academic purposes in the at the university level. So let's take a look at the duration of the program. Now, this program can be between anywhere of 3 years up to 5 years. This depends on the amount of courses taken per semester. Now, because of the open campus, we care about our students first and foremost. We cater to the flexibility of, sorry? Okay, great. So we cater to the flexibility and the needs of our students. So there may be some students who, because of financial constraints or familial situations, cannot undertake more than 1 course per semester, and that's fine with us, because we don't recommend more than 3 courses, especially when persons are employed. So again, just to reiterate, the program can last anywhere between 3 to 5 years, dependent on your particular set of circumstances. The program structure in terms of the number of credits, this is a 90 credit program, which comprises 3 levels, levels 1, 2, and 3. And you are required to complete 30 credits at each level. Right, so I would have alluded to this earlier on in the presentation. This particular degree offers both a major and what we call a special. So the B.Ed major is more or less generalized, and we offer more electives, which would be 5 electives at the level 2 and 4 electives at the level 3. So the special part of the annotation special would mean that this particular field of study is more specialized or more concentrated in the areas of leadership and management. So there's less room for flexibility in terms of there are only 2 electives offered at level 2 and 2 at the level 3. So the delivery mode of the program is such that it's delivered online using the Open Campuses Learning Exchange environment, which we also refer to as the Moodle or Learning Management System. Now, this program operates under semester system, whereby semesters 1 and 2 each have 13 weeks of instruction, and the summer session has 7 weeks of instruction. But for the practicum aspect, this has to be undertaken in the face-to-face environment, at least for part of that practicum in the educational institution, which would be selected. So we are now going to basically inform the students of what options they have in terms of support services. So when you become a student at the Open Campus, you have a myriad of options, in terms of when you're looking to gauge that support as a student. So for course-related matters, the potential student can liaise with the e-tutor or the course coordinator who actually teach the content matter, or the program manager, myself. If it's in terms of academic guidance and general inquiries about the program, students can liaise with the course delivery assistant or the course delivery supervisor, what we call the manager quality control now. And in terms of technology-related issues, if it's things like passwords, and ability to access portals, etc., students can liaise with the help desk or the learning support specialist. And for the program-related issues, students can liaise with, myself again, the program manager. So just a brief overview of what the student experience would be like in terms of the practicum, which you would have mentioned earlier. So the year-long practicum course is called the EDLM 3004, which runs from semester 1 and ends semester 2 in the final year of the program. So the first part in semester 1 basically involves laying the groundwork, and students are guided on how to develop the research proposals and parameters of the research which they intend to undertake. In the second part in semester 2, they have to apply all of the principles and steps which would have been taught in the first semester. And they're required to do an action research whereby they implement the topic which would have been identified for the research proposal. And they then have to present a written report of all findings and recommendations. So this is, a combination of both research and the practical aspect of putting things together, which of course lends itself well in the education sector in terms of, learning and development and all of those things. So the registration period for this program is currently underway, and it ends July 22nd, which would be for the intake for the next academic year, 2022-2023. Of course, we have the registry department here if there are any more questions that need to be asked by potential candidates. The cost of the program, each 3-credit course costs $360 for the local equivalent. Just a note, payment plans are available per semester for the students, but of course this has to be arranged with the finance department, and they are also present to field any more questions that maybe need to be asked, sorry. So for general contact information, you can email apad@open.ue.edu. We have the Open Campus website, www.open.ue.edu. And we have our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/UE Open Campus Caribbean. Okay, so that was just pretty much delving into what that program has to offer. So thank you very much for your time, ladies and gentlemen, and feel free to ask any questions or raise any concerns that you may have at this time. Thank you.
And thank you so much, Wendy, for very concise but comprehensive presentation on the BEd Education Leadership and Management Program. I'm sure there'll be questions or queries for you coming up. I am particularly interested in how the practicum works, so I will ask you a couple of questions about that as we get to the Q&A. But up next, we have Cheryl Williams-Davis, and she's going to be presenting on the Early Childhood Development and Family Studies program. Cheryl, are you ready for us? Just ensure that your presentation is in presentation mode. And
Sure,
I'm
Dr.
handing over
Sam.
to you now, Cheryl. Thank you.
Thank you. 1 second, please. Let me ensure. All right. You're able to see clearly, and we are about to begin. So thank you for joining us today to learn about the Early Childhood Development and Family Studies programs. Of course, I'm Sherry Williams-Davis, the program manager assigned to these programs. My aim today is to just give you a short but sweet presentation to further pique your interest in this world-class program. So let us start with the most important question. Are these programs for you? Well, do you have a love for children? Are you passionate about their growth and development? Then the Early Childhood Development and Family Studies programs are equipped to prepare you for the hands-on creative career path as an early childhood practitioner. But maybe you're already a preschool teacher or work in the early childhood center and need further qualifications to cement your path in this career field. Then I believe this program is for you as well. But I beg that you not leave this presentation, leave this session with the idea that these programs are only for teachers. You can also consider pursuing these programs for career paths such as daycare worker, administrator for an early childhood program, after school provider, professional nanny, au pair, children's author, and early childhood curriculum officer. But not listed here though, but with a little bit more training, you could be a children's book publisher, children's librarian, child psychologist, designer of educational toys, interior designer of children's bedrooms and play groups, as well as a play therapist. Guess what? With this program, with these programs, possibilities are endless. Let's talk about entry requirements. So now that you have recognized that certification in early childhood development and family studies suits your needs, let us look into the requirements. So here are some minimum requirements. We accept holders of 5 CSEC or GCE O-level passes or their equivalent, and you don't necessarily have to get them at the same sitting. And these CSEC subjects should include English A, mathematics, and 3 other approved subjects. We also accept persons over the age of 21 who have been out of school for at least 5 years on the basis of their overall academic and professional attainments. And we also accept holders of one of the approved certificates from the School of Continuing Studies with an acceptable pass in the English language. Now that you know that one of these programs may be for you and you believe you have met the requirements, I now need to guide you on the course of study. Recognize that I keep on saying programs. Well, we have 2 programs for early childhood development and family studies that you could pursue. These are the certificate and bachelor's in education. For the certificate in early childhood development and family studies, you will complete 30 credit hours, and you will do so in a duration of typically 1 to 2 years. As Mrs. Grandison said before, we actually believe in flexibility, and so your length of study will be dependent on you. And also in the certificate program, you have 1 practical experience, which lasts for 50 hours. Let's go over to the bachelor's. For the bachelor's in early childhood development and family studies, you will complete 90 credit hours. The duration is typically 3 to 5 years, and you will have 4 practical experiences, 270 hours in total. Now, seeing that I mentioned practical experience, that means that the program is, unfortunately or fortunately for my purpose, not 100% online. Though all courses are online and they're assessed via 100% continuous assessment, that means no exams, right? We wish for you to have the real feel of being an early childhood practitioner in an early childhood environment. And we want you to execute the theoretical principles exposed to in the course. And so with each practicum experience, you will be able to practice the art of working effectively with children from 0 to 8 years of age. There are 3 terms of study, semester 1 and semester 2, both are a duration of 13 weeks, and summer, 7 weeks of instruction. And it's very important for you to know that for you to complete your program, for you to complete this program, these programs in the recommended time, summer will definitely be compulsory for you. Now, before I even go into support services, I should tell you that the courses are exciting. For example, there's a course called Creative Expression in Early Childhood. It is fantastic. You'll get to explore your creativity and express this in your lessons. And if you're not as artistic as some of us are, well, I'm not that artistic, but I try, don't worry. You will be supported by your peers and facilitators. You may really surprise yourself. For your support services. The support services within the Early Childhood Development and Family Studies programs are the same as Mrs. Grandison described in her presentation. You will be guided and supported all the way. Just imagine having a team of coaches, which in this case will be facilitators, and your personal cheerleaders supporting you to the finish line of completing your program. The cost of the program is $360 per 3-credit course. Again, note that the wonderful team from the finance department is here to help you with any financial queries you may have. I've tried to break it down for you to understand how much. So when you go and you decide if you want to do the certificate, which is 30 credits, or you want to do the B.Ed, which is 90 credits, you will just multiply your amount of credits by the amount of US dollars per credit. And that will give you an understanding of the total cost of the program. So just like my colleague said, the application period is now open and application ends July the 22nd for semester 2022-2023 intake. Now hurry up and get your documents ready and together and start this application process. I can't wait to see you. So thanks for listening, and I'm eager to answer further questions in the chat. However, to get more information about our programs in early childhood development and family studies, you can visit www.open.ua.edu/ECDFS. Thanks again for listening, and I can't wait to see you in our classes.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was a very energetic performance, Cheryl Williams-Davis. Thank you so much. I am sure that after such a presentation that the students, the potential students are biting at the chops to try and apply to get into this program. And I'm sure they will be coming with the questions or queries to you later in the program. So thank you once again. As I said, very energetic performance. You had me really, really glued in there. Okay. All right. So once again, if you're just joining us, thank you so much for joining us on this, the first in our open house series here at the Open Campus, where we delve into our programs. And today we are focusing on our programs in education. All right. As both our previous presenters have said, very important aspect of this is the admissions process. So at this time, we're going to look at a brief demonstration video from our admissions department that demonstrates our admissions process. So I asked the technical team to bring that video forward for us now.
Welcome. This video will show you how to complete the UWI Open Campus application process. To begin, click on the Apply Now link on the Open Campus homepage. When you are ready to submit an application, click on the Apply Now Online button. First-time users must create a new account in the box highlighted. Input your email, select a username, and choose a numeric 6-digit PIN. An email confirmation is sent indicating that the account has been created along with credentials for accessing the application area. Navigate over to the login box and input the username and PIN selected. Select the site that you wish to be attached to. The programs available under each site and their levels will vary, so be sure that you select the correct site and then your program and level of study. The application procedure is a 13-step process. Information that you must enter is marked with a red asterisk. At any point, you can click Finish Later, exit the application portal, and return at a later date and continue where you left off. The checklist button can be used to verify all information before clicking on the Continue button and moving on to the next section of the application. You can also select Return to Checklist without saving changes. Please take note of the following sections. In Section 2, you have the ability to select a second program, minor, or concentration for consideration. In Section 8, where you input your high school information, you can use the Look Up High School code link at the top of the page to expedite the data entry. Select the country the school is in, the city, and the school's name. You must fill out any missing information not returned by this process. The last section speaks to the non-refundable $15 application processing fee. Applicants are required to pay the amount based on their local currency as shown and upload the payment receipt in the field indicated. As long as you have completed all sections of the application process, you will see each section as completed. You will then be presented with our agreement page if all information entered is true. Click I agree to the terms. The acknowledgement page will then show you your application summary, links to the application tracking area, and an application receipt button. You are required to click on the application receipt button, print, and sign it. Then you are expected to take the application receipt and all supporting documents to the UWI Open Campus site that you have signed up for. After you have completed all steps above, you will be required to return to the application portal to track the status of your application and accept your offer of admission. You have now successfully applied to the UWI Open Campus. The UWI Open Campus, online, on-site, on demand.
You see what I mean? You cannot get it any easier than that. Easy as A, B, C, and you can apply to the UWI Open Campus. 100% online, 100% online. Very intuitive, very easy to do, and you can complete that in less than 20 minutes for your entire application. All right, so we have another video that we're going to show you now before we speak to our colleague from finance. Okay, go ahead, Cherise. All right, there you go. So you remember you can tune in the coming days for our other programs in this series of online open house, virtual open house sessions with the Open Campus to learn about our other programs. So today we are focusing on educational programs, and you are learning about our programs that we offer for this academic year. Remember, we also offer doctoral programs in education, the EdD in leadership, as well as the EdD in teaching and learning with emerging technologies. But the reason you're not hearing about those programs today is that we are not offering them in the next semester, which is the semester that starts in September. However, if these programs are offered in January, as you know, we have 2 intakes in December, well, actually 3 intakes in the fall in September, the winter in January, and we also have a summer intake. So if these master's and doctoral programs are offered in those semesters, of course, you will hear about those programs. But if you want to apply for those programs, just give us a couple more months and the application process will be open for you. So our EdD in education leadership, as well as our EdD in teaching and learning with emerging technologies. Very exciting programs. All right, in order to study, in order to attend university, you need money, dinero. So right now we're gonna speak to Mr. Dave Scarlett, and he is from the Office of Finance, and he's gonna tell us about some of the considerations we need to look at when we are considering our studies. Dave, over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sam. And good evening, everyone. I'm just about to share my screen. All right, and let's be trying to get this on slideshow. Okay. All right, it's loading. So as you would have heard, I'm Dave Scarlett, and I work in finance, but specifically, I do student billings and receivables. The objectives of this exercise, and just before I take the objectives, I'd just like to thank you all for offering us the opportunity to share with our potential students. We support student matters related to the finance aspect of the student experience. And one can understand that that is very, very important in the whole scheme of things here at the Open Campus. We also manage the business of queries related to students' accounts. And of course, we review customer feedback vis-a-vis customer satisfaction. And that's very important to us, because if it is that persons are not satisfied, what we're going to be doing is losing students. And of course, we're losing dinero. To contact us, we have one main email address. It's receivables.finance@open.uwi.edu, or you can chat in with us during the registration periods by clicking on the icon at the bottom right-hand corner of our landing page. Queries related to the business of finance, therefore what it is that we offer and what it is that we handle. So we do discounts during semesters 1 and 2. If you register on time and by the particular date as dictated by the Office of Finance, you will benefit from certain discounted rates. The last ones we had were 3% and 4%. I don't know what will happen for semester 1. We'll also provide you with invoices, because sometimes you may need to be able to go and get some funding somewhere in order to pay your fees. And so we have to prepare those documents for you, legitimately have them signed and stamped, Office of Finance. You can take them to get your funding from your different funding agencies. We also offer payment plans, and we'll delve into that a little more further in this presentation. Of course, we look at payment of fees. We also look at refunds, and we try to delay those to when it is that you are close to the end of your program. However, if you have an emergency, we will go ahead and refund you your fees. But we always encourage you to keep your fees because they're so hard to come by. So we ensure to keep them for you, but in the event that you need to get them, no problem. We often provide statements of accounts as well. And sometimes we need those for like teachers or persons in the government services who, for one reason or the other, their companies will offer them a 50% cashback on their payments of fees. And so as a part of what they offer them as perquisites within the companies that they work, so they need physical proof for that, we will do that. Of course, I beg your pardon, we'll also look at things like finance receivables holds, because where it is that fees are not paid on time, then naturally holds will be placed on accounts. Often we have to do reconciliations because sometimes you may have missing funds And so you may say you owe $10, we may say you owe $20. And so we have to reconcile for the purpose. When you register and you add your courses, there are fee assessments available. So it shows how many courses you have and what the cost of your courses come to, in an effort to ensure that your balances are correct and that you can pay appropriately. And of course, also we manage the business of scholarships and sponsorships, because we have a number of persons who benefit from scholarships and or sponsorships from different companies. So you would have heard Dr. Sam speak very nicely to the business of dinero. So here we are going to speak a little about financing. And specifically, we're going to look this afternoon at payment plans. And here are the rules surrounding payment plans. The applicant should have no prior balances. Now, whilst this is strictly the case, let's say that you had paid all but $10. Then, of course, we'd go ahead once it is that you follow through with the rest of the rules. You pay at least 25% of the amount billed for tuition. Then you also pay the amounts billed for your compulsory and administrative fees in full. Now, a lot of students sometimes get into a little quandary where this is concerned, and they just look at the entire figure and then do a division. No, it's at least 25% of what's billed for tuition, and then all of what's billed for compulsory fees. Then you go ahead and you apply for the plan by clicking on the assigned link on the student registration and funding map. Now, please pay strict attention to this, and I think someone alluded to it earlier. Payment or installment plans are created on tuition balances only. Now, in order to manage this process, we go through the registration and funding map. To finalize the registration process, you must complete all 4 steps on the registration and funding map in the student portal. Of course, this includes selecting your courses, which you would have seen in the video, indicating the method of payment, settling fees and applying for a payment plan if payment will not be made in full, and uploading all relevant documents, including payment receipts and scholarship letters, before the end of the normal registration period. Now, where it concerns things like scholarship letters, that's going to be very, very important, because those donors often do not pay on time. And so it's going to be very important that those things are uploaded so that when we have to run financial holds, once we cross-check all of those matters, we know that, okay, student X will not be affected because the scholarship is holding for him or her, and as such, no financial hold for the student. We are awaiting the funding. This may be a little fuzzy, but I did mention the 4 steps in the registration map, and this is the one that speaks to the payment details. And right here is where you make the click to request the payment plan. Once you have made this click and you have gone on to complete this process by clicking and entering on step 4, what happens then, it appears on what we refer to as our FOSS system, which is our financial system for students. It appears right there. And once it is that you have met the criteria that was detailed before, then we will go ahead and approve those plans. We're hoping to improve in this area because this part of it is very manual, that is the approval. So it does take some time, and time doesn't stop, and the rest of the queries don't stop as well. So you find that sometimes there's a delay, and then my phone rings, Mr. Scarlett, I have not yet gotten an approval for my plan and class is about to start. So, we have to work at these things very quickly so students can get into their classes on time and so on. Now let's talk a little about payment options. Students are encouraged to make payments online through your student portal via the payment gateway. This is the easiest and most manageable step, and it's the one that gives us all less gray hair. Payments can also be made at the Open Campus designated bank. The applicable banking details are also available on the registration and funding map at step 2, and you then indicate your method of payment. Your online payment through the payment gateway will automatically be reflected on the student account summary within 24 to 48 hours. And that's at the further end. Normally, once a student pays, it updates automatically. If your payment was made at the bank, you must upload a copy of the payment slip in the registration and funding map. Please retain this payment slip for your records and or to provide further proof of payment if necessary. A couple of things happen, and this is not confined to the Open Campus. Often, a teller will take the payment and somehow apply it elsewhere. You go off comfortably knowing that you have paid your bill. So it's very important that you check your account, your student account, at a reasonable time after you've made a payment at the bank to ensure that the amount has been credited. If you're not seeing it, reach out to us. As it concerns payment of fees, we have several countries that we manage within the Open Campus. We're a part of several countries. And of course, finance manages all these. We have about 5 different currencies or so that we handle within the Office of Finance. So we have different banks, and you will see them there. There's the National Bank of Anguilla that handles EC. The National Bank of Anguilla also has US currency available in terms of those accounts or those related accounts. There's the Belize Heritage Bank, the Bank of Montserrat, and the Republic Bank in Trinidad and Tobago. I want to make a special reference now to the students that reside in Jamaica. Most of you would have heard, well, not yet because you're coming in as students. So let me back that up and rephrase. We have a slight challenge with the National Commercial Bank at this time, where it is that the National Commercial Bank has stopped taking payments of the payment of school fees over the counter. So we have to specifically work with our Jamaican students because it is the case that we have a large percentage of students in Jamaica that form a part of the Open Campus. So the best and easiest option is the payment gateway. However, at this stage of the game, there's a slight challenge with anything to do with NCB Visa credit cards or NCB credit cards specifically. So if you're having that problem, you can always use one of the other bank cards. But for right now, we're working with NCB. However, we had to jump through some hoops. There are still some things we can do to help students. But National Commercial Bank students, you may deposit the cash in their ABM and then email it in to us. That is the receipt. Email in the receipt to us, and then we can transfer it off our general account. You'll notice the general account number here. This should be one of your best financial points, 402-599-723. That's the main account for the Open Campus. Once you have made the lodgement there and you let us know, then it is the case that we'll transfer the funds over and life will be easy. Those of us in Jamaica also know that we can set up beneficiaries on our NCB accounts. So for example, if your sister needs some money and the sister lives at the other end of the island but has an NCB account, you can set up a beneficiary, set her up as a beneficiary, transfer the funds, and she will go to a money machine and withdraw the money. Do the same thing, set up the UWI Open Campus as a beneficiary, use this account number, and then send me the receipt. That is, send it into the Office of Finance, and then we will be able to update your account accordingly. There are also point of sale machines at various sites across the island, so you can make your payments there. And recently, the Paymaster has joined as one of our partners. You can make the payment there at a small fee. You know, Paymaster charges a fee of $55 for taking payments for any institution. So whether it's your light and power company, your water company, whatever it is, they charge a fee for the purpose. I want to thank you for your kind attention. And of course, if there are any questions, we'll field them at the appropriate time. Thank you.
Dave, I want to thank you so much for that very explanatory presentation. Really, really interesting information. And of course, I want to say to the potential students that the Open Campus has really been generous to students, particularly with the payment plan. I am a beneficiary of that payment plan for 5 long years while I was studying at the Open Campus. I use the payment plan every semester, and it really helps to make your study affordable. So that is my testimonial on behalf of the Open Campus for the payment plan, Dave. All right, so I see in the chat that we have lots of questions coming fast and furious. And as we have those in the chat, I'm gonna invite our first student from our in-studio audience, as I like to call it, who are on the Zoom call, to open your mic and ask the first question. Please make the question very direct and short, because we have quite a few questions already lined up. So I'm gonna invite my technical colleagues to open the mics for those in the Zoom room and ask the first person to ask his or her question. And we also have some questions coming in from YouTube and Facebook. I will ask those questions in a minute. Yes? All right, so I have seen some. I'm going to ask them myself, and my APAD colleague, most of these are directed to you. Are there any practical aspects of the DipEd program carded for the diploma program carded for September? I'm not sure if this is the diploma in early childhood or something, but or the education, the diploma program in education. Yes. Person has clarified that. Any of my colleagues from APAD wish to respond? Hello.
Here, Dr. However, I just need a little bit of clarification. Based on my observation of the chat, the student's question does not relate to any of the programs that were presented tonight.
Oh, so you do not have a diploma in education that you
don't have a diploma in early child development and family studies, only certificate and bachelor's.
Right. So the certificate is available in September as well?
Yes, yes. The certificate is available in September. I should know that when you were discussing the intake periods for the Open Campus, I should let the participants know that for the early child development and family studies programs, we only take intake in September. So no intake in January and no intake in summer. So time is running down and it's coming fast. Please get in your application so that you can start with us September morning.
Oh, there you go. So thank you very much for that clarification, Cheryl. All right. And there are other questions in the chat regarding the EdD, and I think my colleague Marcia Reed has responded to that the EdD is not being offered this semester, this upcoming semester, starting in September. Any master's program in family studies or social development?
I should answer for the early childhood. There are no master's program available for students to apply for in early childhood at this point in time.
Right.
So no master's in early childhood development and family studies.
Okay. And I think this one is for Wendy. Is there a postgraduate diploma in education management and leadership? Wendy?
Yes, hi, good day. Sorry about that. So I normally handle the undergraduate programs. So okay. I don't believe that there's a diploma that right now at the moment. I'd have to verify and get that.
Okay. All right, from our Facebook or YouTube, and again, I think this referred to the early childhood program. Will I be able to teach in a primary school with this program? So I think this goes back to Cheryl. The potential student wants to know if they would be able to teach in primary school with the early childhood program.
Okay, so I have to be very specific in answering this question. Early childhood stems from from birth to age 8. Now, typically in countries such as Jamaica, we classify students from grade 1 to 3 within the early childhood period because they go up to age 8. However, there are some regions that do not believe or do not allow teachers to go into the classrooms with only an early childhood diploma, or sorry, early childhood certificate or a bachelor's degree. They don't really allow them to go in the primary school. So you have to be very careful in indicating exactly what your goal is, and then you plan accordingly. So if your plan is to go into the primary school system and teach grades 4, 5, and 6, then this degree program will not be for you, or the certificate program will not be for you. But if you really want to stick to the younger children, those who are in preschool, then this program is definitely for you.
All right. And you were saying specifically that in Jamaica, which is where I suspect you're based,
Yes.
that if you have an early childhood degree, that you tend to stay in the lower part of the
Primary school level, grades 1 to 3. Now, even though I'm the program manager in charge of the program, I am familiar with many of the educational policies in relation to different countries. But you, as the applicant, need to go and seek that information. Be clear, because even though I want you in the program and I'm excited for you to be in the program, I want to make sure that this program suits your goals and your needs. So go and do your research, find out what is that, if you want to go into primary school, what is that your country or your territory requires. And if it requires more than a certificate or a bachelor's in early childhood education to teach at the primary level, unfortunately, this will not be the program for you. All right?
So this should be for people who are strictly interested, well, in some context, in teaching at that early childhood level between, as you said.
Yes, it would be very good for persons who are most likely wanting to stick to the preschool level, even though they can do their practical experiences from grades 1 to 3, but it's really for those who want to stick to the preschool level, which is, of course, an early childhood education institution.
Right. So, I operate within the entire region, and I know in a lot of the OECS countries that you can teach in regular primary school with your early childhood bachelor's degree. And also some of these people would have gone to teachers college as well prior to doing the early childhood degree as well. So as you said, it's best for the prospective applicants to just ascertain what obtains within their individual territories to be sure you are on track for your career path based on the things that you want to do, and after investing in a degree as an early childhood practitioner. So thank you very much for that. Someone is asking about upcoming application for September. Right, so our deadlines for application for September, July 22nd for the undergraduate programs, and June 30th. So today is June 6th. So you have 24 more days if you're applying for any of our postgraduate programs for us to start in September. And if you're applying for the undergraduate programs, you have a month and a few days, July 22nd. All right, just checking my WhatsApp for questions from my colleagues. As a continuing student, or just completing a BSc in another field, would I need to go through the process for paying application fee? I think, Dave, this one is for you. I'm not sure if I understand the question, but I'll read it again for you. As a continuing student, just completing a BSc in another field, would I need to go through the process of paying the application fee? I think that is no, because the person's already a student, right, Dave?
That sounds like me. That sounds correct to me as well, because the student is already in the system. But I will make a note of it just in case there's something else that needs to be said. I'll check on that.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, and Anyone on the Zoom, any of our guests on the Zoom, do you have a question that you would like to ask? We welcome you to open your mic and ask a question now. Yes, no? All right, so let me go back to my WhatsApp then. All right. So just to let my colleagues in APAD know that, as you can see in the chat, there's a lot of interest in the doctorate in education leadership program. So I know that is not being offered this time around, but yes, the interest is still there. And Masters in Family Studies, we already responded to that one. Postgraduate Diploma in Management and Education Leadership. I think we said that I'm not sure, did Wendy respond to this question? Oh, she said she would check it out and get back to us with respect to that one. So those are the questions that are in the chat right now. I wanted to go back to both Wendy and Cheryl with respect to the practicum. Can you tell us again, what is the reason for the practicum and how long does it takes the students to do the practicum, and where can they do the practicum? Wendy or Cheryl? Yes, go ahead, Wendy.
Yes, hi, Dr. Sam. Okay, so the practicum for the Education Leadership and Management is a year-long course, which starts in semester 1 and finishes in semester 2. All right, so the first, sorry, go ahead.
You go ahead. I think you were answering what I was going to ask. What does it entail? All
right, so the first part of the practicum, which is in semester 1, is where the students are guided as to how to establish the research parameters and how to define and formulate the research proposals. And then in semester 2, which would be where they actually apply these research principles, it's where they do the research and they implement an action research plan, whereby the topic which would have been identified in the first semester is actually investigated. And most times it would be in a school setting because it is an education degree. So for example, let's say the research proposal may have been, how do we get students to read more outside of the classroom? So then of course the potential student and candidate would come up with various ways which they think might help, this particular situation, and they would apply it in the real world scenario of the classroom. And then once, different hypotheses, etc. I don't want to get too technical, but once these different hypotheses, etc. are confirmed or not confirmed, as the case may have been, at that point, a written report is required with all of the research findings and the recommendations in order to get this particular topic going forward. And all in all, I think this really adds to improving the educational sector in the Caribbean. I think it's a very, very invaluable, very insightful tool that we have here in this program.
Yeah, sounds really exciting. And I mean, the fact that they have an opportunity to put into practice what they're learning during the program. How have the students been responding to the practicum throughout the region?
We have a very expert team that guides them. If they have any questions, they can refer to the course coordinator or the assigned practicum supervisors or the tutor. So I think once proper guidance is given, which is what is taking place, the students have been quite receptive, and they have been doing quite well overall in terms of the practical aspect of this program.
All right, and Cheryl, in terms of the early childhood and family studies program, that also comes with a practicum. Tell us how the practicum runs.
All right, sure. So As I said in the presentation, for the certificate program, you only do one practicum experience and it's 50 hours. So what you typically do is go out there into the early childhood centers and you get to do certain activities. What the practicum really ensures for our students to do is to transcend from the theoretical to the practical, because we can always tell them about all these theories, all these principles, all these best practices of early childhood, but it makes sense when they go there into the field, they see it. And not only do they see these best practices, they also are able to identify practices that are not of the best interest of our students, and they're able to change, they're able to reflect on these practices and know what best to do when they go out there in the environment. So it's just transcending from theoretical to practical to ensure that they understand how these principles, how these practices are displayed within the classroom. For the bachelor's program though, they have 4 practical experiences and it's like a tier experience. You know, you go there and you wet your foot in the water a bit, and then the next practicum you go out a little bit further in the water, and then the next practicum you see yourself floating on your back, and then the final practicum you're doing full breaststroke. It's basically giving them that step-by-step experience to further develop themselves as early childhood practitioners. And you know what is funny about it is that we have quite a few of our students who are actually now early childhood practitioners, and they're just going out there to get that qualification. But what we try to do is we try to use their experiences and mesh it with the information, with the practices that we're trying to inculcate in our students. And what we then create is a regional body of early childhood practitioners who share, who further develop the field within our region.
All right, thank you so much, Cheryl. And I mean, practicum sounds really exciting, and I'm sure the students are really enjoying that. And there was another question that has been answered by our colleague, Ms. Medica, that yes, the postgraduate diploma in management and education leadership is definitely on offer for September 2022. So for the student, the potential student in the Zoom who asked a question about the postgraduate diploma in management and educational leadership, yes, it is on for 2022. So get your application in before the 30th of June. All right, Dave, finance. How would you say students have been taking advantage of the payment plan?
I wanted to try to answer that in an interesting way, but let me just say, we have had an inundation of requests for payment plans. So what I was going to say, do pigs fly? But I'm not saying that. So what? So the fact is, Dr. Sam, that financially everyone is pressured, and for sure everyone wants to move on with their lives, and so persons feel, as you know, that education is one way to pull yourself further along in life, and so persons are trying. We have had an inundation of payment plans. Up to today, I was doing approvals because persons' payments had just come in. So what the students do, which we encourage them to do, whether or not you know you need the plan, apply for it, because when plans close, they close. And we have to get approval to get extensions on plans. So put it in there. Up to this morning, I think I approved at least 3 or 4 plans today, and we closed plans last week.
Okay, but we still want to facilitate the students, particularly in this harsh economic climate.
Exactly. And we have had special requests for different reasons. Persons may have medical reasons and so on, and just coming back into the system, those get approval, and we go ahead and we approve those plans as well. We just encourage them to try to catch up if they've missed like a week or 2 of classes.
Right. In addition to the payment plan, you also mentioned the discount. Can you recap for us, how does the discount works?
Okay, so that is decided by the CFO for the most part, because usually that comes down under his signature. So each semester, the students would be advised. It's either 3 or 4%, which was the last semester, and it usually only happens in semesters 1 and 2, not for summer school. Right. So they will get that information. Once it is that they have paid within the window that is expected. There's a member of our team that handles scholarships and grants, and so she also manages discounts, and she applies all the discounts. Now, the students will decide whether or not they have that option, if they pay short of the discount amount, as long as it is that they have paid within the discount window.
Okay. All right. So the discount, and in order to benefit from the discount, you have to pay. Is it early?
Right. There's a window in which you must pay. So if, let's say, term starts on let's say the 5th of a month, and the discount window must be, say, between the 5th and say the 10th. So if you pay after the 10th, you would not qualify. But those kinds of specifications come down with the regulations each summer, or sorry, each semester.
Each semester, right. Okay, while we wait on other questions, I'm gonna ask Cherise to play the promo video once more so that persons can see the dates and times for the other open houses coming up in the next couple of weeks here at the Open Campus. Cherise? All right, yes, so unlock your future, unlock your future. The Open Campus has the key to unlock all of the potential for your future. I have a question for someone who came into the Zoom late, and I know my colleague is for the bachelor's program, but are you aware if for the Masters in Education Leadership, if there are any written exams? Miss Wendy? Do you know if there's any written exams for this course? I'm not sure if you're aware of that, or if that we'll have to get back to Miss Ali. If not.
Yes, and we have to investigate that further, but I do believe that currently all courses should be 100% coursework, but again, that is subject to correction. So I would like to just confirm that and get that information back.
Okay, so Miss Ali, if you could probably send an email to us at marketing, and we will clarify that for you and get back the information. I will ask if Marcia or Cherise can put the marketing email address in the chat as well, so that our colleagues can see that, and we can refer those emails to the appropriate program manager in APAD. All right, Marcia, do we have any other questions? I'm not seeing any other questions here. All right, so that's it. marketing@open.uwi.edu. Okay, so that's the easiest way to contact us, and we will refer your questions and queries to our colleagues in the APAD department and get back to you with the response. All right, if there are no other questions or comments, I'm just gonna ask my colleagues from APAD as well as finance to just give your closing remarks. I'm gonna start with Wendy. You can go ahead, see your closing remarks.
I just want to thank you for the time that I'm getting to spend here this evening with potential students. I'd like to welcome you all to the Open Campus. This is a place where we really cater to the students' needs. We care about our students. We do whatever we can in terms of the flexibility to ensure that they are successful in whatever course of study they undertake. So please be encouraged. Please come out and join the Open Campus. You will not regret that decision. Thank you.
All right, Cheryl.
Short and sweet, please. Just understand that we have a world-class program and we are very interested for you to have this wonderful experience with us. Of course, as Mrs. Granderson says, we care for you, we care about your well-being, we care about not only about your educational progress, but also you as an individual. And so if you are passionate about teaching and learning, if you are passionate about children, if you're passionate and care about their development, please apply to Early Childhood Development and Family Studies programs, and I'm trusting you that you will never, ever regret that decision.
Great. Dave, about finance, final word?
So let me piggyback on the last statement. In order not to regret the decision you would have made, you're going to need financing. And in the event you need a payment plan at all, you would have heard the endorsement coming from our moderator. Ensure, please, that you just stick to the rules in terms of the windows. Try your best to get in and get in on time. And even if you think that you're going to get some funding and you at all have doubt, apply for the plan. It's always best to apply and not need it than the window closes and then you need it, because then is when you have the issues. We look forward to serving you in the Department of Finance. And on behalf of my boss, Mrs. Sherene, I thank you all for supporting this evening's exercise.
Thank you very much, Dave. Ms. Medica, I'm not sure if you want to give any closing remarks from admissions. Okay, I guess not. All right, so I want to say a special thank you to all of our presenters this evening from APAD as well as from Finance, for our colleagues from the admissions department who sent the video, very good explaining the admissions process, to those of you who joined us in studio on the Zoom, and for all of you watching on YouTube and Facebook as well. I want to say a special thank you to Marcia Reed for leading this effort this evening, to Cherise Glasgow, and of course to our technical guru, Mr. Patrick Johnson, in the background, making sure that everything goes well. Thank you so much as well to Kevin there in APAD, our liaison, and all who has contributed to making this first open house, virtual open house session a success. Stay tuned for the others coming up in the coming days. Until then, I'm Cleveland Sam. Have a good evening.